Y'all, Wizard101 just put out a statement that could literally be game-changing. So if you guys are not in the Wizard101 test realm Discord server, basically today, one of the designers talked about the fact that flat resist is probably on its way out. That is a whole stat that we've actually been accustomed to for many years, and this is a statement specifically relating to advanced content, meaning for PvP, for raids, that type of stuff. Flat resist might actually be gone. What would that look like? Basically, any square socket, I guess, that, you know, you would normally put flat res on, they're probably going to be auditing it. That's what they were saying in the test realm Discord. And as a part of that audit, we're probably going to see other, you know, options that aren't flat resist, whatever those might be for our square socket. And the number under the resist is going to say 0. And that's just going to be how we got to accept PvP as is. Now, there's a lot of implications there, but before we start, I wanted to talk about actually how the stat works, because a lot of people don't know. So basically, right, there are two forms of defense when it comes to the resist stat, and a lot of people don't know about the fact that there's 1% based one, and then there's one subtraction based one. And the way that it works, right, let's say that, I don't know, I took a myth hit. What my resist stat would do is it would reduce my incoming myth hit by 57%, as in I would take 43% of that intended damage. Obviously, there's things like Pierce that are going to change that, whatever. And then after that reduction, I also get 125 damage subtraction on it. So let's say that someone sent a Stone Colossus at me that would have done 1,000 damage. Because of this stat, it actually ends up doing 875 damage. Now, for singular hits or, like, you know, multi-buffed hits, this is obviously a very small thing, right? If you did math class, you know that subtraction is not as powerful as multiplication, division, all of that. But there is one area of the game that is extremely affected by flat resist, and this is why I'm talking about this as a game changer. If you guys don't know, there are 5-round overtimes in Wizard101 right now, and the big school that gets affected by it is, of course, Fire, the overtime school. Even one of their most iconic shads recently became a 5-round overtime. And the thing about damage overtimes is that Fire is actually given a damage per pip increase for it. This is, again, something that a lot of people don't know, but it's worth knowing. What does that mean, right? So, like, let's take an overtime like Inferno Salamander. The damage per pip that you get on this, especially when you max tier it, is like 150, I want to say, right? 900 divided by 6. That is literally Storm's damage per pip, even though you're a Fire, and you might wonder, why is that? Well, these are so powerful because there are so many ways to manipulate these overtimes after you cast them, right? Someone can brace, someone can use flat resist, someone can literally counter them, someone can shift it if it's not protected. So the devs already know that stats and manipulation spells and brace, like, you know, all of these things already affect overtime, so they give them a big boost, but that boost just doesn't keep up with one stat, and that is flat res. It might not seem like a lot, but a 5-round OT loses 125 times 5 over those 5 rounds that it's on you. The weaker your OT, like for example a Elephant, the vastly more damage that you actually end up losing percent-wise, right? Like, let's say you have like a 300 damage overtime, you're looking at something that would have done 1500, right? But let's say that you have like 150 flat resist, that 300 damage is gonna do half. It's like having a tower shield on every part of that damage over time because you have flat resist. When you frame it like that, it probably looks like a much bigger problem, and honestly it is. The fact that you can have literally Storm's DPP on a Fire hit, and there's still a stat that just prevents you from doing damage because of something small, like, you know, throwing on a brace with flat res, like, that is a serious issue. Now, here's the thing. While I would like Fire's overtimes to be way more competitive, I think there's a huge elephant in the room, and that's the fact that other schools very often, according to a lot of people, have better overtime. And honestly, that's kind of hard to dispute. Like, Life having such a powerful overtime, and this is basically because of that school pip, it affords this spell way more DPP. This spell is going to be absolutely busted without flat resist. Right now, it does very little damage compared to, like, what it does. If you'll notice, right? Let's say that you send, like, a bladed bubbled burrowing bane, right? You'll see the display number that goes up saying it's about to do like 2,000 something damage, and it'll do like, you know, maybe like 1,000 if you're lucky, right? This doing like in the thousands and thousands of extra damage because of no flat resist, it really goes to show that maybe they need to look at some of the more defensive schools, because while yes, Fire should benefit from this, I don't think every school should. And let's not forget, there's all kinds of legacy overtimes that would get an insane boost without flat resist. Again, if you don't know how flat resist works, you probably don't realize how much like damage damage it saves you when someone throws out something as simple as a frostbite or a poison or a black widow at you. The 3 overtime schools are life, fire, and myth. And really, in my opinion, because they're going for like deferred overtimes on myth, really the ones that should have real, like, you know, constant pressure with overtimes, it really just should be life and fire. And then you might like want to like see some off-school stuff pop up here and there. But the fact that there are still overtimes that are on like non-overtime schools that break shields and then do like more damage, I mean, I'm really scared about the effect of flat resist there. Another extremely relevant spell that also gets affected by flat resist is Hydra. This is a triple hit, right? It's almost like an overtime when it comes to how flat resist reduces it. What's very common is if someone triple shields against you and you use a move like this, right? Your flat resist will save you a lot of HP because you're debuffing the Hydra and then you're subtracting some, right? That's when that effect is really powerful. If they just full-on remove flat resist, you're gonna be just getting insane amounts of value on Hydras through Ellie shields. You're gonna get hundreds of extra damage, right? And you're still gonna be echoing the same shields that the spell does. Historically, flat resist was probably one of the few saving graces when, you know, this spell was being spammed. I don't know if y'all remember that meta. Running 5, like, you know, flat resist jewels was one of the only ways to deal with the amount that these, like, little triple hits were spammed. And if they're gonna make flat resist lower, this is yet another angle that they gotta look at. So what you can tell is this is gonna be something that affects many schools, and it's probably gonna require that they, one, look at a good replacement for square sockets in general, because otherwise I don't see the point in square sockets. I don't think you can rock incoming in PvP, which is the only other square socket that I'm, like, you know, aware of. So what is even gonna happen to square sockets is a very valid question if they just do away with flat resist. But also, are spells that hit 3 times, or, you know, spells that hit 4 times, like Frostbite, like, are those gonna get nerfed is another extremely valid question. All I know is that fire definitely needs, like, you know, overtimes that actually work better. So this is probably something that is good for at least one school that really needs it. However, it could also end up inadvertently buffing many other schools that either are getting buffs outside of their identity or are getting buffs that they simply don't even need, like in Balance's case. It is worth mentioning that flat resist affects every school the same way, except for the ones that don't have overtimes or triple hits, which I can only think of, like, maybe Storm, but even Storm, you could run a Storm Elf pet. So worst case scenario, even if this does, like, somewhat, like really become something we have to get used to, you know, we're all on the same boat, so it could very easily be something that isn't as bad as maybe I'm making it out to be. As always, I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on this, on what you think, like, a jewel audit would look like, I guess, because apparently that's coming. And also, what you guys think the effect of just removing flat resist from PvP in general would be. It's definitely a super interesting topic. I think this is actually something that a lot of people probably care about, even though you might not know it. So I look forward to reading y'all's comments and opinions. Let me know what y'all think about this. You know, maybe you could give feedback to the devs and they'll read it in the comments. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, and if somebody hasn't told you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome. See y'all soon. And yeah.